So we've had a 2-1 win over Harrowby today, and I think the best way of describing that game was very much not so good to start with, and the last 5 minutes or so were absolutely fantastic. What were your thoughts?
Um, I thought the first 15 minutes of the game, I thought we were quite good. I thought we started on the front foot, had a number of set pieces, put the ball in good areas. I think, it was a little bit of a game of two halves in terms of the conditions, but I think, I think initially we started to handle that well, and then we started to be a little bit ill-disciplined in terms of our silly free kicks around the box, and you're just giving them the opportunity to put the ball in the box where you have conditions like we did have today can be difficult. I think we need to play more in a learning point, and there's quite a few learning points. As I said before, this group is a young group. We need to try and play more at times and be a little bit braver to go and get the ball. But I think if we'd have gone in at 0-0, I'd have taken that, because I then think we would have been, as we were, I did feel anyway, in the ascendancy. But then to concede the goal that we did right on half time is a bit of a gut wrencher, really, because it then becomes an uphill task. I think we had a couple of opportunities to clear the ball. Not sure we did well enough. Lads had a shot. He tried to get it in the corner. We couldn't clear it off the line. So to say the least, I was disappointed, and made that evidently clear in the changing room at half time is probably a little bit of an understatement, because these are games where, if you're not at it, any game in our league, it's a tough league, Spenny, as I've said before. And if we're not at it, you get found out. And I just thought we went too passive. I didn't think we showed enough energy, particularly first half. And we've got caught cold and caught napping in the 47th minute. So addressed a few things at half time. There wasn't anything tactical to address. They matched us up. It was about being better in 1v1 areas, and being better than the opponent that you were facing, as opposed to anything else like that. It was about bringing more energy. And I did, second half, I thought we put them under the cosh for most of it. I don't really think that. I think Azar had maybe one save, both halves really. I think there were two good saves, to be fair. And it just felt, as the game went on, we showed that little bit more energy. They started to tire. But it didn't look like it was going to be our day. I think Kearns had one good save from a corner. Max has had one off the line. We've had a few go across the 6-yard box where we just haven't been able to get the end on the end of them. And you start to think, is it going to be one of those days? We kept going though. I think potentially we should have had a penalty earlier. I have spoken to the ref about it. He didn't think there was enough contact on Amir, but he did say that there was contact. And then obviously we did get the penalty, and Lenny took it away nicely, and I thought Lenny was brilliant when he came on. He showed great energy. He broke the lines when we put him up front as well. I thought he was really, really good when he came on, and he's a big player for us. I know obviously he hasn't been getting as many minutes as he probably would like recently, but he's a big part of this group, and I was really pleased for him getting his first goal of the season. And then we had a few more opportunities. Sam Harris put him up top as well. He's had a couple. One, I think, probably a good save. He's probably done. At the time, I was thinking he's got to score that. But on reflection, he at the moment should score. On reflection, I think a good save from the keeper. He got a good contact on purchase on it to get it over the bar. I think the other one, I think he probably should score. He just needed to take it a little bit more time. But I thought he was brilliant when he went up there. He won headers. He won his headers, but put them into good areas. And he's going to be a top player. I thought he was good at centre half as well. And then he did fantastic for Rob's goal. Down the left, good cross. I keep saying to Sam, you're equally good with both feet. Good crosser, across the box. I thought Luke Harris was going to score. Seems like he got pulled down, and the ref was potentially going to give him a penalty, and then it's fell to Rob. First time finish. What a finish that was. And let all the emotion come out, and we need to have more times like that. Really are pleased for the boys, because ultimately they've done it. They've shown brilliant character. Super proud of them, and I look at it and go, 10 points from 5 games. That's kind of what we wanted. If you look at it, Spenny, and I'll come back to that actually. Just to mention for Rob, he works tirelessly, and again, I think that's maybe his 4th goal of the season already. So a massive well done to him. But yeah, no, as I was going to say, Spenny, that's 10 points from 5 games. I'll keep banging on about it, but that's 10 more points than we had this time last season. We're joint top. As I said to the boys, they had the opportunity potentially, if results went their way, to go top of the league today. We've just about done that by the skin of the teeth. And that means nothing right now in terms of league positions. It will soon, as I say, balance itself out after around about probably 10 games. But it's a good starting point. It's a 2-point average, which I'll keep banging on about, and it gives the boys confidence as well to say, look, we carry on like we are with the form. Performances will need to continue to improve, and as the weather changes, we'll need to adapt. But that gives the boys, especially when you've got a younger group, confidence to go, we can do this, and we need to keep going till the end. And that's a sign of a good team, not lying down when there's challenges ahead of you. And yeah, I'm just really pleased for the boys today, Spenny, because they deserve that. They work really hard. I do ask a lot of them. But fair play to them. They were, in terms of the performance, it's not ideal. But to keep going like they did, I thought was a credit to them.
Well, attention turns now to next week's FA Vars game against Woodbridge at home. Obviously we were out of the cup fairly early doors. We'd like a cup run somewhere along the line, and I think that gives us a good opportunity.
Yeah, I think it was my first game in charge last time. We played Harleston away. It was the FA Vars. We went out on penalties. I know the FA Cup's obviously a special competition, but in realistic terms, the FA Vars I know is more realistic in terms of getting through quite a number of rounds potentially, and you never know what can happen when you get into the deeper stages of a cup competition like that. And I know that it has a special. It's a special part of this club in terms of there are always big games for this football club, and I just hope the town turn out. We had 183 here today. I'm going to keep banging the drum. That isn't enough. We need to be over 200, and we should be over 200. These boys are giving everything for the football club. We didn't play as good football today, but they show that, what I call that Wisbech Town fighting spirit, that endeavour, never say die attitude, and we need to be better on the ball, and we'll continue to do that. But I just hope people start to turn out in a little bit more force. And I know this one wasn't really in the diary in terms of a league game, but hopefully they've seen that's 3 wins in a row now at home. It's in the league, it's 4 unbeaten, and obviously we had the marginal thing at Haverhill, which meant that we didn't come away with anything there in terms of a replay. But yeah, no, we'll have a good week of training. We'll get the report back from Woodbridge, and we'll prepare as we always do for every game. But how I look at it's been a real positive start. I think the club, where we're at the minute, should be buzzing. The town should be buzzing for it, and let's see what we can do. And obviously we put the league programme to bed, and then obviously we go back to the league programme on the Tuesday against Skegness. But I'm really happy with the players and what they've done, and they're a credit to the club.